once again, good evening, students. Today we are going to see about the pedagogical approach of teaching a poem. Here, a poem can be explained based on 5 elements. Let us see what are those elements, for which I would like to quote the article, The Poem as Craft, which was written by Willow Hambrick, the educator from Royal Spring Middle School, Georgetown. As he himself is a teacher, he enumerated all the elements that he wished to discuss while he teaches a poem. To begin with, the most memorable poetry balances evocation and exposition. Evocation means the basic aim of poetry is to evoke the feelings among the students. And exposition, as you know, you are going to expose the idea or the feelings to the students. The poet is going to expose his ideas or feelings to the readers. So this is the major aim of composing a poem, and as a teacher we should know the aim and purpose of composing a poem, and we have to imbibe the feeling of the poet, and we should also transfer the mood and the feel of the poet to the students. In which way teaching of poetry is different from teaching of prose is the main aim of teaching a prose lesson is to develop the communicative skills of a language. Through prose lesson, you can help the children to improve their listening, speaking, reading and writing skills. You can facilitate them to enrich their vocabulary power. You can help them to learn the basic sentence patterns, the different sentence structures of the language. So basically, if you want to learn the language, teaching of prose is ideal, because obviously you are going to deal with the language more intensively. After having a rudimentary knowledge of a language, we have to elevate our students to a higher level in which they are able to appreciate the beauty of the language, which is evident in poem, in the form of poem. Through poetry, you can enjoy the beauty of language. So, the very objective of teaching poetry is different from that of teaching a prose lesson. In a prose lesson, you will help the children to know the language, to use the language. Literally, you will explain all the elements of the prose. It may be a word or vocabulary. It will be a grammar item, or it will be a sentence pattern. You will have a very close attention to all the elements. But as far as teaching of poetry is considered, you are not going to explain each and every word and every line by line explanation. It is not so. The very purpose of learning a poem or reading a poem is to enjoy. As prose is for head, poetry is for heart. Prose you can know, but poetry you have to feel. You should feel the mood of the poet. You should enjoy the rhythm of poetry. You should appreciate the language beauty of poetry. Please don't go for line by line explanation of the poem. If you do so, then the enjoyment will be lost. So how can we help them to appreciate the poetry? For which there will be a 5 categorization or classification, 5 elements that will help us to make the children appreciate the beauty of poetry. The first of that element is music. As I have already told, poem is for singing. Poem is for heart. To begin with, is there any one of us who don't like to sing a rhyme? Okay, many of us still remember all the nursery rhymes that we have learnt during our school days. Can any one of us sing any rhyme which is very close to your heart? Shweta or Rabia, can you sing a rhyme? Shweta?
Hello. Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please. You can sing a rhyme.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky.
Very nice, very nice. Up above the world so high, like a diamond. Anyhow, we love to sing a rhyme. Why? Because of its music element. Okay, so the poetry should be for singing. And what are the elements that will help a poem to sing? So those elements are alliteration, assonance. Sometimes we used to repeat some words or some sentences. So in poetic language, it can be called a refrain. In the case of drama, there will be a chorus or anaphora, to refer it once again. And in a poem, there will be end rhyme, I rhyme, internal rhyme. Within a line itself, there will be internal rhyme. And another element is onomatopoeia. That means when the word mimics the actual sound, oozing, hissing sound of snake. And the final aspect is meter. Meter is the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. So these are the elements which will add a feel of music to the poetry. For example, do you remember this rhyme? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Okay, so row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. The word row is repeated 3 times. Repetition. And stream and dream, they are end rhymes. And meter, there are many types of meter. It can be iamb or trochee, anapest. So these are the elements which will give the rhythm or the music of a poem. Moving on to the second element is our emotion. At the outset, the poem will evoke an emotion among the readers. It can be irony or satirical. Some poems will be satirical. Some poems will be tragic, uplifting, some other astonishing, mysterious. In case of Solitary Reaper, it can be mysterious because the poet doesn't know what is the theme of the song sung by our Solitary Reaper. Mournful, joyful sometimes, playful. Okay, if you are happy and you know it, clap your hands, clap, clap. If you are happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you are happy and you know it, clap your hands. This is very playful. So like this, there will be an emotion for each poem. So first of all, we have to invoke that emotion among the students before teaching the poem. Moving on to the third element is imagery. Without imagery, it is almost impossible to write a poem. As soon as I tell the word the daffodils written by William Wordsworth, which picture flashes in your mind, Rabia or Jivita? You can answer me. Have you read the poem Daffodils?
Yes, ma'am.
Which picture flashes in your mind?
I will remember the flower daffodils
Yes.
and the field where the lady stands.
Okay. What will be the color of daffodils?
It will be in yellow color.
Yellow color. Have you seen the daffodils?
No, ma'am. While my ma'am was explaining that poem, she gave a picture of that flower.
Yes.
I still remember that flower, ma'am.
Yes, very nice, very nice. Okay, now shall I ask this question to Preeti? Okay, as soon as you think of the poem, The Road Not Taken, what will you visualize? Preeti?
Yes, ma'am.
So for the poem The Road Not Taken, which visual comes to your mind?
Ma'am, the two parts.
The two
Which
parts.
one is?
So like this.
Which one is taken?
Please go ahead.
The two parts, ma'am, which is taken and which is not taken.
Okay. So like this, as soon as we think of any poetry, some images will flash in our mind. Okay. Sometimes it may be very highly philosophical poem. Say for example, there is a poem written by Robert Frost, After Apple Picking. Okay. So immediately after reading the poem, I used to think of a barrel and a ladder, two-pointed ladder, and someone is standing on the ladder. He is picking up the apples, dropping some inside the barrel, and sometimes the apple get out of the barrel. So like this, okay, like this, you are able to visualize. Even though the apple scenario is there, I am able to think of what would be the real meaning, the philosophical meaning behind the poem. So this imagery strongly supports, enhances the beauty of poetry. So as a teacher, we have to give considerable amount of time in explaining all the imagery and figurative part of the poem. Moving on to the fourth element is journey. Okay, journey means, literally speaking, it is not literally, a good poem will take you from the classroom setup to the imaginative setup in which the poem was written. Okay, say for example, even in the films, the hero and heroine will be conversing, will be have their dialogues, but immediately there will be a song, and immediately both of them will be in a very beautiful garden. Okay, so you have, based on the mood, based on the emotion, if it is a very happy song, then you can have the garden. If it is a very mournful song, sometimes, okay, so in Shivaji Ganeshan songs, okay, you will be the song will be visualized in a very sad place. So like this, as soon as you read the poem will have the ability to take the readers to a new place, to a new scenario, to a new sphere, based on its theme and the thought. Moving on to the final element is form, the form of the poetry. There are various forms like free verse or haiku or concrete poem. Sometimes there is a poem called How to Eat a Poem. The very poem is written, the lines will visualize, the lines will reveal as if there is an ice cream bowl. So like this, a concrete poem. And another division is sonnet, ballad, So these are the various forms of poetry. Okay, together, see, there are some other terms that help the understanding of form is end line, sometimes without any punctuation marks going on, where you can break, you can, that is enjambment. And 2 lines of stanza will be called couplet, 4 line stanza will be called quatrains. Okay, so like this, you can even help your children to appreciate the beauty of poetry using the fifth element, form. So far we have seen how can we teach the poetry based on 5 elements. To begin with, musical elements, in which you will concentrate on the usage of alliteration or assonance or refrain, repetition, rhyme scheme, onomatopoeia or meter. And the second element is the emotion which is invoked by the poem. And the third one is the imagery that has been used in the poem, like figures of speech and other things. And the fourth element is the journey, that is the movement. It is not physical movement, it is mentally, how does the poem take you to another new sphere. And finally we have to also explain the form of the poetry too. So this is how we can help our children to appreciate the poetry. Now shall I ask our Sabika Banu to appreciate a poem using these 5 elements. Over to Sabika Banu.
Okay, ma'am. Before moving into the poem, let me ask you a few questions. Imagine that you are in a garden. What are all the things you will observe in the garden? The beautiful flowers, butterflies, okay, trees, small children playing in the garden.
Is it possible to converse with birds?
Yes, Sabika.
Kavya, to which bird you talked?
To a Maina.
Maina.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Like Kavya, here too, our Wordsworth talked to a butterfly. It conveys something to him. Let's see what it conveys. Okay, before moving to the poem, let's see something about Wordsworth. Can anybody read it? This biography.
William Wordsworth was born on April 7, 1770 in Cockermouth, Cumbria, England. His mother died when he was only 8, something that would later shape much of his work. Wordsworth attended Hawkshead Grammar School and later St. John's College at Cambridge. His earliest poems were published in 1973 after touring Europe and coming into contact with the French Revolution. In 1802, Wordsworth married Mary Hutchinson. After publishing countless poems and becoming the British Poet Laureate, Wordsworth died on April 23, 1850.
Okay. Can anybody read his achievements?
In 1838, received honorary
Yes, Anusha can read.
In 1838, received an honorary doctorate in civil law from the University of Durham. In 1839, received same honorary degree from the University of Oxford. In 1843, became the British Poet Laureate, going on to become the only laureate to write no official verses.
Anusha, it is honorary degree. It is H is silent. Honorary degree. Tell me.
Okay. Honorary degree.
No ha. Honorary degree.
Honorary degree.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can anybody read his famous works?
Lyrical ballads,
1798 edition, lines composed a few miles above Linton Abbey, poems in 2 volumes, 1807, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, The Daffodils, composed upon Westminster Bridge, The Solitary Reaper, The Prelude, 1850.
Okay, the block letter words will be the books. Though the lyrical ballads, in the lyrical ballads, the poem lines composed a few miles will be there. Like that in poems, 2 volumes, it is a book collection. In that, I Wandered, the Daffodils poem composed upon the Westminster Bridge. These will be present. Then interesting facts about Wordsworth. He was the one who's credited with launching the English literary romantic period. When we talk of the romantic period in literature, he is the one who he is the predecessor of the romantic era. Wordsworth. He is called as nature's poet. Romantic is something which means new, change. He is the one who talks about nature. That is why he is called as nature's poet too. So he is the predecessor of the romantic era, the famous poet of the romantic era, and he studied at Cambridge University. Then the interesting fact which we mostly don't know about him is that he reportedly had anosmia. He had no sense of smell. Then his Grasmere home was called as Dove Cottage. Then moving to the poem, To the Butterfly. First, let us know something about the poem. To the Butterfly is a lyrical poem written by Wordsworth in 1802. Lyrical poem is something in which personal experiences will be expressed. Lyrical poem is mostly personal in sense, and the tone will be first person narrative. Here the narrator is Wordsworth himself. So it is a lyrical poem addressing a butterfly. Then it was published in the volume Poems in 2 volumes. He wrote 2 poems addressing the butterfly, and the poem which we will going to see now is the best known. Then in this poem, he recalls how he and his sister Dorothy would chase butterflies as children when they were living together in Cockermouth. This poem is something very memorable to Wordsworth because after he wrote this poem, her mother died and he and his sister moved on. So this butterfly poem is one of the memoir for him. We can say like that. Then Wordsworth poems, a character and this poem To a Butterfly were the products of his pleasant childhood and his love of nature. Let's move on to the poem.
Yes, Sabika.
First, I will read it. Yes.
Please move on to the previous slide. Can anyone tell me why should we give the background of the poem? In which way you can know this about the poem will help you to appreciate the poem?
We can understand, then only we can understand the situation or what the poet is coming to say.
Very nice. Among the 5 elements that we have seen, music and then imagery, journey, form, like this. We have seen 5 elements. Which element will be covered by explaining about the poem?
Emotion.
Very nice, Kartika. Very nice. Emotion. Very good. And then?
Imaginary.
Imagery. Even imagery you have to get into the poem. Emotion and journey.
Journey.
Okay, so which emotion is going to be invoked? Whether it is happy or sad or lonely. So like this. To have that exact mood, that we have to definitely make the children to know the background of this poem. Okay? Yes, please carry on, Sabika.
Okay, ma'am. Let me read the poem once. First stanza. Stay near me, do not take thy flight. A little longer stay in sight. Much converse do I find in thee, historian of my infancy. Float near me, do not yet depart. Dead times revive in thee. Thou bringst, gay creature, as thou art, a solemn image to my heart, my father's family. Can anybody read this para, this stanza?
Stay near me. do not
No.
take thy flight. A little longer stay inside. Much converse do I find in thee. History of my infancy. Float near me, do not
Historian of my infancy.
historian of my infancy. Float near me, do not yet depart. Dead times revive in thee. Thou bringst gay creature as thou as though
Art.
as thou art
Art.
as thou art, a solemn image to my heart, my father's family.
Complete the poem.
Thank you, Shiny.
Sabika, complete the poem.
Okay.
Don't
Yes,
stop.
ma'am. Next, ma'am. Oh, pleasant, pleasant were the days, the time when in our childish plays, my sister Emmeline and I together chased the butterfly. A very hunter did I rush upon the prey, with leaps and springs I followed on from brake to bush, but she, God love her, feared to brush the dust from off its wings. Here, moving to the analysis of the poem, while reading the first line itself, the stay near me, do not take thy flight. The narrator is pleading to the butterfly, requesting the butterfly to stay near him. Don't go away from me. A little longer stay inside. Much converse do I find in the historian of my infancy. He requests, in this first paragraph, the gist is that the poet is requesting the butterfly to stay near him, and in every even lines, he gave the reason for his request. Stay near me, do not take thy flight. A little longer, stay inside. Much converse do I find in thee, historian of my infancy. Usually, only with human beings we will converse, we will have conversation. But here, the poet is talking to a insect. He is conversing with a butterfly. He says, much converse do little longer stay inside. Much converse do I find in thee, historian of my infancy. I like you to stay near me. I want to have conversation with you because you are the historian of my infancy. Here it is an exaggeration. It is an hyperbole, we can say, because historian is who is historian?
A person who makes a history is said to be a historian.
A person
What
who
is the
makes
work of
history. Wait. A person who makes the history is a historian. Is it the right statement, Preeta? Is it right?
No.
Can anyone help Preeta? Who is a historian? Kaushalya?
A person made the history.
A person made the history. Is it so? Can the history students answer? Sandhya?
The person who made history.
Yes, Shweta. What is your answer?
A person who speaks about history.
Who speaks about history. Okay, somewhat closer to the answer. Anyone? Any other? Priyadarshini?
A person who studies history.
Who studies history? Then very nice answer. Then he is a history student. He is not historian. Can you call all history students as historians?
No, ma'am.
Who is a historian? Sandhya, Arugya Visha? You can answer.
What we study in history.
Who reveals about
Rabia, a little bit louder. Rabia?
the person who reveals about history.
Okay, somewhat 90% close answer. A person who reveals about history, or a person who wrote the historical events. Okay, the person who has written or who has recorded the events of history is called historian. The person who represents, that means who has given a written form to the history, is called historian. Okay, so now who is called historian by Wordsworth?
Butterfly.
The butterfly. Yes. So which figure of speech is used here?
Hyperbole.
Hyperbole, because they have speak very high of a butterfly. An insect is given to the status of a historian. So it is hyperbole. Good, very good. Go ahead, Sabika. Over to Sabika.
Yeah. historian of my infancy. Here, a small insect is compared to the historian. So here the great exaggeration is given. So the hyperbole is used here. He says, the poet says the butterfly to stay near him because the butterfly is like a historian to him who reveals of his infancy, childhood days. Then float near me, do not yet depart. Dead times revive in thee. Here, the dead times refer to his childhood days, his past days. Okay, here in every odd lines, when you see, he asked butterfly to stay near him, and in the consequent lines, he gave the reason for his pleading because he is the butterfly is the historian of his infancy, and dead times revive in thee because in butterfly he sees his past days, past times, or once again coming to his mind on seeing the butterfly. That's why he's pleading the butterfly to stay near him.
Sorry
Then,
for the interruption, Sabika. Sabika,
Yes, ma'am.
here, apart from giving the explanation of the poem, we have to ask
ma'am.
a lot of questions to the students. By answering those questions, they themselves will be in the position to understand and to appreciate the poem. So before explanation, we have to help them to realize the condition. Okay, so tomorrow this will be your homework. You have to come with almost 30 questions for our students, and by answering those 30 questions, they themselves will understand the theme of the poem and how Wordsworth exaggerates the butterfly on what he wishes to converse with the butterfly. Okay, so with this discussion, we shall close today's meeting. Let me congratulate our Sabika Banu for her wonderful effort. She has beautifully illustrated this poem, and tomorrow still we shall continue with the analysis of poetry. So till then, thank you girls. Again tomorrow you can convene the meeting and we shall complete teaching of poetry. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank